What's going on, everyone? This is Gainz Gaming. Today we are going to be talking about the top kingdoms going into 2023. So we are going to be talking about kingdoms, we're going to be talking about players, power loss, all that stuff. So first of all, we want to talk about the top 10 kingdoms. And so this is a list that Lilith just sent out about the top 10 kingdoms by power in Rise of Kingdoms. So as you can see here, the top kingdom by power in Rise of Kingdoms is Kingdom 1307. They have 134,614,288,681 power as of December 31st, 2022. And so this is absolutely insane because if you look at the bottom with 1960, they have almost half the amount of power as 1307. So that kind of shows you how much power this kingdom truly has. And they're very close to Kingdom 1365, who is at 129,942,894,000 power on the dot. And then following closely in third place is the well-known kingdom with Chiscool of 1254 with 126,508,549,344 power. And so my kingdom actually, 1079, is on this list at number 8. And so we are actually registering for our KVK. I'll show you this here. We are registering for Strife of the 8 KVK. And so we did skip King of the Nile. We did vote with the kingdom and we decided to go for Strife of the 8. We do have 74 kingdoms that are registered for this KVK and a couple kingdoms that are very well known that are registering for this KVK actually are found on this list as well. And so this is a message you can see. This is from January 20th, 2023. And this was about the January 23rd pop-up for KVK. And so we had a bunch of kingdoms that were expected to register for this KVK. That includes 1647, 1474, 1484, 1307, 2489, 1664, 1034, 1188, and 1302. And as I just said, we did get the two options of Nile KVK and Strife of the 8. And so if you look at the kingdoms here that we're looking at Strife of the 8, or potentially Heroic Anthem, that includes 1647, 1307, 2489, 1664, and 1188. And so these are all kingdoms that are going to be very, very hard to fight and really, really fun to watch fight. And so once again, if we take a look at this list, we can see that two of the kingdoms that are looking at registering for this KVK that we might be matching up with includes 1307, the top kingdom by power, 1647, which is the number 6 kingdom by power with 99 billion, and then finally my kingdom, Kingdom 1079, with just over 90 billion power. So in total, if we all get matched up in the same Strife of the 8 KVK, which we're really hoping for, we could have 3 of the top 10 kingdoms by power in the same KVK, which is similar to the 1960 and 1093 KVK that is going on right now that just started. So we could see some of the best KVKs we have ever seen in Rise of Kingdoms covered here in the top kingdoms in the game. So we are super excited to see what happens here. And so next we're going to be talking about the top kingdoms with power loss. And so these are going to be kingdoms that have just recently gotten out of KVK, mainly because they are going to be the ones that have the most power drop in December of 2022. And so if we pull up this list right here, we can see these are the top 10 kingdoms by power loss. So we can see the number 1 kingdom by power loss was 1556, and this is a very well-known kingdom. They are at 37,452,488,215 power loss. And then closely in number 2, we have 1412 with 32,540,721,700 power loss. And then finally, we have 254. They did just get out of a somewhat farming KVK with 15,617,000,000 power loss. So definitely not as much as 1412 or 1556 because they had a lot more fighting in their KVKs. But we can see all these other kingdoms here, including 846, 887, 34, 1000, 1170, 671, and 1402, ranging from 37.5 billion power all the way down to 9 billion power. And so these are kind of the ranges of the different amounts of power loss a kingdom can do. Obviously, the Imperium kingdoms like 556, 412, and 254 have a lot more power they can lose. And so like we saw in the top 10 kingdoms, some of these kingdoms are already still in there. So like, for example, 254 is still in the top 3 by power. even after losing 15 billion power. And so if you look at, again, the top 10 kingdoms by power, if you add their 15 billion power that they just lost, they would be at number 1 with 141 billion power. And so after this KVK, they are still coming into their next KVK in the top 3 by power, which is insane and shows that they really just did not have a lot of fighting in their KVK, which is shown here by the power loss that they had in December of 2022 during their KVK. Next here, I want to transition more into players because I also want to acknowledge some of the top players in the game by power. And so we can see here, these are the top 10 players by power. And this is as of December 31st, 2022. I want to make that clear. And the reason why I want to make that clear is because Mimi just hit 1 billion power on both of her accounts. So she does still stay in the 3 and 4 category. However, she did hit that 1 billion milestone. So I just want to make that crystal clear. And so the top player by power in Rise of Kingdoms as of December 2022, going into 2023, was Yoda808 with 1,480,591,103 power. And you can see, compared to me, that's a lot of power considering I'm at 76 million power. And the most power I've ever had was just under 88 million power. And so it kind of puts things in perspective on how much power this truly is when it comes to these top players. And so all the way down to the number 10 player is still 634 million power, which is just absolutely insane. And we can see a couple other people that we obviously recognize with Baba CC Ataturk at number 2 with 1.1 billion power. And then the Nephisto, we all know about that drama story with him in his KVK with 733 million power. I know that he still wants to be the number 1 player by power, and he's just under half the amount of power as Yoda808. So he does have a long way to go. We'll see if he is ever able to achieve that as number 1 player by power in the game. I know he also wanted to hit the number 1 kill points in the game as well. So we'll have to see what his account can do in the next couple of KVKs when he gets to Season of Conquest and so on. And then finally here, I want to talk about the top 10 players by power loss in Rise of Kingdoms as of December 31st, 2022. And so this is, I think, honestly even crazier than the top players by power because this shows how much power they're losing on their accounts. And so you can see Just Shadow has 294 million power loss in December of 2022, which is just absolutely insane. That's, like I said, the most power I've ever had is 88 million. And this player lost 294 million in 1 month of playing Rise of Kingdoms. And so I really wish they showed what kingdom they're in here as well, because that way we can kind of see what KVK they were in. For example, if he's like in 556 or 412, that makes a lot of sense because they did lose upwards of 30 billion power in their KVKs. And so that would make the most amount of sense here because these players have lost so much power all the way going down to the number 10 spot at 99 million power loss, literally losing over my entire account's worth of power in 1 month of playing Rise of Kingdoms. And so to me, I think this list is even crazier than the top 10 players by power because these are the players who are losing power and sending their troops to die and fighting in the field, because losing 294 million power in 1 month of playing Rise of Kingdoms, we all know how hard it is to kill off troops and flags, especially in big Imperium kingdoms, because it is so hard to even get into the flags to fill them because they're just constantly getting filled. And so I think that's even a bigger testament to how much power these players are losing because they're probably just swarming down every single flag, filling their hospitals, swarming rallies, swarming cities, all this kind of stuff, which is just crazy to see here on this top 10 players by power list. Make sure you guys stay tuned for this next KVK. This will be absolutely insane if we get a matchup with 1307 and 1647. I think that will be an absolutely crazy KVK if the 3 of our kingdoms, 1307, 1647 and 1079, all get matched up in the same KVK, because that will make for one heck of a fight in KVK. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for future videos. Thanks again for checking out the video. Have a great day.